Greetings, Judah. DFG at Gideon's Flight. Hey, guys, I just want to take a moment of your time and just kind of take some more teachings this morning. As you remember yesterday, the intention was to get into Matthew chapter 24. And of course, because of, time restraints and Yah or the Rahut saying, stop there, I did. But this morning, I'm going to share with you just a little bit more on Matthew 24. And this is just food for your soul, so that as you're going through your day today, that you have something to reflect upon, something to think about, something that helps you to be encouraged and to take the stand that's going to be necessary to resist the temptations that are coming upon the world. We talked about a lot of those temptations yesterday, whether it's the Disney movies, whether it's the agenda that's being pushed with homosexuality, transgenderism, killing of babies, division in terms of, political positions, the animosity that's created by creating a hostile, nation, turning people against each other, but just for survival purposes. Not enough food, not enough bread, causing people to not only have to face the possibility of hunger and homelessness, but also the possibility of becoming beggars. Yes, beggars, where they literally will bow the knee, to the government for bread. And we know that's going to tie right into the last step that mankind is going to take as it relates to taking the mark of the beast. Remember, the book says they were not allowed to buy or sell except they take that mark. And, many of us believe that mark, well, I'm not going to presume to know in terms of what we all believe. Some of us believe it's a chip. Some of us believe it could be, a vaccine. And there's many other beliefs out there. But the one thing you could be sure, whatever it is, it's going to be universal. It's going to be something that they're promoting through the whole planet. Because Revelation teaches us, Yeshua said in Revelation, with the word of Yah, that he calls it the whole world to not be able to buy or sell. He says rich, poor, small or great. So that's all inclusive. And those who take it that mark would be forever condemned. But let's get into Matthew 24. This is going to be a little short, quick teaching, and then we're going to pick up on the rest of 24, Yah willing, on tomorrow, okay? So if you're with me, let's go. Matthew chapter 24. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the building of the temple. But Yeshua had said unto them, see all these things? I say unto you, there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And so when he told them that earlier, they were like, you mean this big old temple over here? It's almost, you can use it as it's almost like somebody saying the United States is going to get torn down. And people are like, we talking about this most powerful nation? But yet in Revelation, it talks about the great whore Babylon. But in their minds, it was equivalent. Like, come on, let us show you what you said and help us understand how that's going to happen. Because, unfortunately, master or Messiah, wouldn't have called him master. Well, they meant master in terms of teacher. So let's say they said, well, teacher, I don't see how this can possibly be. So then he went on to say, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, tell us, what shall these things be? I mean, how is this going to happen? And what shall the sign of your coming and the end of this world? And Yeshua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. Now that's verse 4. And you've heard me say that many, many times. The biggest danger that we face, Israel, Judah, is deception. Who to trust? And I think we all would agree with that. All of us are dealing with that. Who can I trust? Who can I trust? And that's predominantly in the flesh, naturally. Who can I trust? Can I trust the guy at work? Can I trust my spouse? Can I trust my mate? Can I trust, my job? Can I trust my banker, my investor? I'm going to buy a new car. Can I trust that I'm not going to get a lemon? My car's broken down. Can I trust the mechanic? There's a big trust issue in the land. But in this instance, Yah is talking about your soul. All right, he's talking about spiritually. Who are the teachers the guides out here who are supposed to be leading us to Yah. He's telling us we're going to have to be real careful who we trust. And I don't need to take you all the way through this whole thing, as I told you before. Religion is the birth, it's the fetus of the great whore or the false prophet. Quite frankly, the Catholic Church, Rome. And not just Rome in the last 100 years. My sisters, my brothers, this goes way back into the ancient times. These demons have been around a long time with one end in mind. Destroy you before Yah destroys them. And their number one weapon is religion. And I've said it to you before. And inside of religion, false teachers, false prophets, and lying words and wonders. Let's continue on. And Yeshua answered and said to them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah. And unfortunately, my sisters and brothers, shall deceive many. And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. That's contention all over the land, near and far. But see that you be not troubled. In other words, don't worry too much about that. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. But nation shall rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines. That's another word for hunger. There shall be pestilences. That's another word for diseases. Praise Yah. There shall be earthquake in diverse places. And I can tell you that you can expand on that, whether that's hurricanes and tornadoes and, natural earthquakes, phenomenal events, snowstorm down in Texas. Guy was telling me yesterday Dallas was a minus 5 degrees in that last snow time. Dallas, Texas, that's the South. Minus 5 degrees. You see, y'all said when they start talking about wars and rumors of people, they've been fighting wars since the beginning of time. Yeah. But some of these phenomenons that you're seeing right now, that has never happened before. And if you don't agree with that, then go talk to some of the people in Texas who pipes froze, who had never seen anything like that before, who are drinking water that's brown, polluted water, who were literally damn near about to freeze to death because they had no heat or no energy. And they still, to this very day, some of them are dealing with the consequences of that. This is the truth. This is the truth being foretold thousands of years ago. And now people are being confronted with it, and most of them are getting caught totally off guard. Why? Because they got rebellion in their heart. They are resisting the truth. Because as the scripture says, they love the lie. What is the lie? Deception. Just tell me what I want to hear. Tell me a good story. Can't you be positive? All we need is love. Come on, guys. Like the devil Biden said, let's just make unity so that we can show the world America's back. Or like Trump said, let's make America great again. So that we can show America, yeah, we never changed. We the wickedness that was in us, it was still there. You just couldn't see it because you were so consumed with materialism and all the other things that preoccupies mankind, that you lost your sense of direction, your sense of consciousness of your environment. What could ever be great about a nation who sets the most wicked standard on the planet in terms of morality? What could be great about that? But as you saw, 75 million plus were right down there on election day saying, we like the dogs, man. We want to go back to our vomit. Make America great. In other words, the dog wanted to go back to his vomit and the pig wanted to go back to his mud. And then the other side, whatever millions that were, they were saying the same thing too. Don't get it twisted, my sisters and brothers. And if you were a part of it, then I hope you've repented by now and have made a commitment that you will never touch that filthy Babylon system ever again. Let's continue on. And then he says, all these things are the beginnings of sorrow. See, that's where we are now. These are the beginnings of sorrows. Now, as he said, don't be concerned about the wars and the rumors of war. But he said when famine, global hunger, global diseases, masking, vaccinations, separation. When these global things start happening, then you need to get worried. Are we not there, my brothers and sisters? Are we not there? We are. And then he goes on to say, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you. And you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Now he's saying this to the disciples. But remember, this is a future. They may have thought he was talking literally, because I think they thought he was coming somehow. I don't think some of them thought he was going anywhere. But I'm sure they thought he was coming right back. But he was forecasting. He was telling them there's a appointed time that these things would happen. That time is now. So what am I saying to many of you? Some of us are going to have to die for this word. And many of you are going to be persecuted. Again, as I stated before, a lot of people will never share these messages. Not because it's me talking and you don't want them to hear a man. You won't share it because you don't want to be criticized. You don't want to be embarrassed. You don't want to be made to seem like you're a fool, that you're following religion. When the truth of it is, you're not following religion if you're following the word. If you're walking in the word, then you're following Yah. Yeshua reminded us, he said, Yah sheep hear his voice, and they don't follow strangers. What are the strangers? All those who are outside of Israel. And most of Judah is following the stranger outside of Israel. But then some of us, the elect amongst us, the remnant of us, we're saying, oh no, I'm coming out of that. I am going to change. I have already committed myself to this change. And if I have to die for it, I die for it. And for you sisters out here, you know something? You got it in you to die. You know, some of you got it. Don't get me wrong, brothers. We know men of y'all have given up, you know, their lives for the faith. But to you sisters of Judah, you sisters of Israel, Esther, remember Esther? You know, they had a movie, One Night with the King, I believe, some years back. It was a bunch of bullshit, but they were trying to talk about the story of Esther. But one of the things when Mordecai told Esther, his niece, hey, look, you need to go before the king. She says, I'm not invited to go. I have to wait for an invitation. He said, you cannot wait. Time is running out. If you don't go now, it could be too late for your people. But she said, if I go, I could die. He said, again, how do you not know if Yah built you up for this? He made you beautiful. That's how you got in the kingdom in the first place. You weren't supposed to be there. You're a Jew or you're a Hebrew. He said, but somehow he opened up that door that could not be opened. Many of you ladies know that Yah has done that for you by taking you back to this particular truth. And so he encouraged her to go. And this is what she said to him. And this is the point that I'm making at this moment. She said, okay, I'm going to go. And if I die, I die. So it's not just the men of Judah, the men of Israel who are emboldened, who have taken a stand. Sisters have taken the exact same stand. Unfortunately, you know, many times, you know, we get caught up in the Jezebelness and that wicked spirit that's taken over most of our sisters. No question about that. But we also need to remember there are some Esthers out there. Esther put her life on the line for her people. And I hope some of you who are listening to me have that same desire to be an Esther, seeking after that same ruhuk Esther had in her by being bold and saying, no, I'm going to take a stand with my man. I'm going to take a stand before Yah. And if I die, I die. Praise Yah. Whatever it takes, in essence, that's what we're saying here. That's what Yah and Yeshua was telling them. And he says, and they shall deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you. And you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake, because we are the people of Elohim. As you know, the minute we start talking about we the Israelites, everybody gets upset. The whole world gets upset with us. The first time we start to say that, especially if we have a platform where more than 2 or 3 people can hear it. And we've seen examples that many of our men have become cowards. But you know what's interesting? Sisters. You notice I'm not hearing any sisters. I'm talking about international or nationally renowned sisters saying that they are the daughters of Judah. And that's something you ought to be thinking about. Why aren't we hearing that from these Israelite females? You follow what's happening with them? But then again, maybe Esther has not been tapped on the shoulder yet. And I'm tapping on the shoulder with some of you sisters right now and calling you out and saying, okay, come on, Esther. Come on, get in the fight. because we're going to need you. Because even if you don't get in the fight, when they take us out, they're not going to forget about you. Because remember, you're the seed carrier. You're the seed carrier. All right. So whether you think you can, if you think you can go without us, or somehow you can separate yourself from us, my sisters, think about war. If you've known any kind of thing about the history of wars, one of the spoils of war are the women. So when countries and nations get into bloody wars, the victorious nations, they take bounty of women. What do I mean by that? They rape them, old and young, sexually abuse them, old and young, and yes, they murder them, old and young. Do a little history on what happened in World War World War II, Vietnam. You know, if you know anybody who's been in Afghanistan or Iran and some of these things, and ask them some of the atrocities that happened to some of these women when these so-called liberators came in. They'll tell you. Pretty bad. Those who live to tell. I guess I should say it that way. So, sisters of Judah, I'm reminding you, you play a role in this too. The enemy has a contract out on you, just like he has out on your sons and your brothers, your fathers, and your men. Or your man, however you want to say that. Praise Yah. And he says, many shall be offended and shall betray one another and hate one another. And that's just the honest truth of it. Many of our people are going to get offended because they are not going to want to be called out by the other people saying, where are you in this fight? Or the moment that they've got to give up something that they want, something that they possess, they're going to start to turn on you. Women against women, women against men, men against women, men against men. All because of the faith. Really, it's all because of the Rahu. Yah is separating, the sheep from the goat. We talked about that yesterday. All those who are going to come and say, I did all these things, and Yah going to say, I never knew you. Depart from me, you wickedness. See, he's just repeating it again. He's just reminding us again. Line upon line, precept on precept. And so you need to ask yourself, my sisters and brothers, can you really stand? Are you prepared to stand? Have you positioned yourself to fight, to go to war? Not only with your body, but with your rahuk. Do you have that conviction? Are you ready to die? To live eternally? Praise Yah. He goes on to say, and many false prophets shall arise, and they shall deceive many. And we talked about this. This is what's going on in these wicked synagogues. They're going to deceive many people to go out and get vaccinated. That's why they're putting them back. That's why they're opening things back up. Texas is opening up 100%. Mississippi, I think Georgia is. Louisiana 75%, and many other states. Because they got to get you guys back out there so they can start putting that witchcraft, so they can start casting those spells again. And they're going to use these false prophets to do it. You can believe that. And that's why I've said to you guys many times, don't go back. I don't care if you were the number one parishioner in your church, the number one tither in your church, the teacher, the Bible school teacher. Don't go back. Don't go back. If you didn't understand these truths while you were there, that tells you right there they were lying. They were deceiving in the name of the Messiah. And that's what he had said, that many false prophets, they're going to come and say, the Messiah is here. This is what the Messiah says. And yet, it's a lying doctrine. Praise Yah. And again, verse 11, and many false prophets shall rise, and they're going to deceive many of our people. Many of our people are not going to make it. 2/3 aren't going to make it. Not because they were in rebellion. It's because they allowed themselves to be deceived, because they did not have a love for the truth. And what is the truth? Yah said the word is the truth. They did not have the love of our documented history to show us the pathway to resist evil and to come before the presence of Yahuwah so that he can surround us with his Rahu to protect us in these days of evil. Or better said, in these days of sorrow. Again, let's go back to verse 11. And many false prophets shall rise, and they're going to deceive many. A false prophet is just a false preacher, teacher, evangelist, minister, elder, pastor, imam, you name it, preaching lies, refusing to acknowledge the people of Yah and the truth of this word, telling you that, as a matter of fact, let me not get ahead of myself. Watch this. Now remember, that's verse 11. Many false teachers. And what happened? He said, because, verse 12, and because the transgression of the Torah. The transgression of the Torah. You know what that means? They're not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yah. That because they were not. Many of our people, because you are not, or they are not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yah, Yah said they're going to be deceived by these false teachers and false prophets who are going to tell them that the Torah is done away with and they can do anything they want to do by the grace of Jesus. Now again, remember we talked about the Torah in Matthew chapter 7 when we were looking at it. Yeah, 7. Remember? He said they transgressed the Torah. Here it is again. He said because, let me see it again, verse 12. Read it for yourself when you get a moment. Matthew 24 and 12. Because the transgression of the Torah. Because of the transgression of the Torah. So I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, if you're not studying the Torah, you're not in the way. In other words, you're not in the way of Yah. You're on that broad path to destruction. And if you can't find anyone who's willing to sit down and break it down for you, follow these video messages. I can assure you, this is 30 years in, by the way. I know it may not look like it, just teasing. But I've been studying this for 30 years. And I've been studying it with an open heart and a steady mind. I've got my ass whipped, excuse my expression. But Yah has beat my ass up and down the highways with this word. He's always pulled me back. Talking about prodigal son, I think I've been on that journey 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. Many of you have too. But like him, I kept coming back. I keep coming back. I know where my bread gets buttered, so to speak. Do you? My bread gets buttered by the word of Yah and by the Rahu, and my love and my trust for him. That way he knows that no matter if I fall 5 times or 7 times or 480 times, he knows I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep coming back. Will you? Now, am I saying that falling is justified? No, I am not. Yah says that, or the book says, once you have known the truth and then you go back into the lie, he said there is no remission, there's no forgiveness of that behavior. So don't take this wrong. We don't have liberty to transgress the Torah and then say we come back. No, I'm just talking about learning and learning and learning and learning, step by step by step by step. All right, and I say that to you so that you can have enough confidence to know that I'm not a novice in this. This is not my first rodeo, as they say, my sisters and brothers. I've been out there on that battlefield, and I've taken my hits like any great soldier. But the one thing I have not been, and that's a coward. I did not give up, I did not quit, and I'm still here. Still teaching, still loving, still fighting. Will you do the same? We are those examples. Yeshua said we're supposed to be like a light that sitteth upon a hill so that people can see us and glorify him. So if you're in the battle and you're struggling, don't give in. Don't give up. But you got to get into the word. You got to get into the Torah. You got to obey the Torah. All right? And you have to be taught. And Yah will send, messengers after his own heart to teach you when necessary, until you get to the point where you can teach others, my sisters and my brothers. And then he goes on to say, let me repeat 12 one more time. And because of the transgression, disobedience of the Torah shall abound, shall be everywhere. The love of many shall wax cold. Now they told you the New Testament is where you can find love. Y'all said, no, you find my love in the Old Testament. And justifiably and righteous. If you read the Old Testament, you can see how Yah constantly forgave us and forgave our ancestors over and over. You saw the love over and over. I mentioned it to you with Esther and Mordecai. That was the love of Yah. They were going to kill all of our people. And Yah raised up Esther. And Esther was the messenger to the king to say, wait a minute, king, you're being undermined. You've got sin in your camp. And that sin in your camp is lying on my people. So can I have a minute with you? and have you, and can you go get and open up your books? How ironic. Can you go open up your books and let me show you it was prophesied that Haman will come? See, that's what we're doing right now. We're opening up the book. Then Yah is allowing us to prophesy that Yeshua is about to return, but Satan is also here and trying to destroy the remnant of the people. Look at the comparison. You see how Yah compare? Look, it's very comparable. It's the same story repeating itself. As Solomon said, there is nothing new under the sun. Amen. And she got the king to open up the book. I'm asking you to open up the book. And preferably a cipher, because it's got more books than unfortunately, a lot of these books that you're reading right now. They kept a lot of the truth out because the truth will reveal their wickedness. And they were trying to hide you from you, my sisters and brothers. Okay, I'm almost done. But he says, the love of many shall wax cold because they're rejecting the Old Testament. I'm going to say it's a way that you can understand, because they reject the truth that's in the Old Testament. Tell them, well, the New Testament is the Old Testament. It's just, the New Testament is just manifestation. That's a lie. That is an absolute lie. The Old Testament doesn't need any new revelation. Yah doesn't change. It's literal. Obey it. Teach it. Embrace it. But he that endured to the end, Yah says, the same shall be saved. What does that mean? If you continue in his word, you shall know that truth. That truth shall set you free. That's the same thing. That's what salvation is. That means the exact same thing as salvation. If you continue, but he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. If you're talking about, I'm saved, well, are you continuing in the word or the truth? Are you obeying the Torah? That's a simple question. Are you obeying the Torah? Because if you're not, then who told you that you're saved? How did you come to that conclusion? All right? Unfortunately, my sisters and brothers, if you have been taught anything other than obeying the Torah, then this prophecy was inclusive of you. You were being deceived. And unfortunately, some of you guys are not going to change. You're going to hear this word, you're still going to go the wrong way. Like Balaam. Y'all told Balaam, don't go back to Balaam, the king who was trying to tell him that it was okay to interact and intermix with the strangers. If you can get the people to compromise themselves with these strangers, then they'll lose their power. See, that's what these churches are telling you. It's okay to embrace the strangers' doctrination that they added to the book called the New Testament, because they know once you do that, then your strength is going to be diluted and ultimately polluted. And what is the pollution? Religion. False doctrine. So I'm going to continue on 24, y'all willing. But I just want to give you something to reflect on, something to pray about, something to meditate on, something to embrace, so that you can take heed, be encouraged, but also more than anything else, resist unto death. And don't take it strange because they hate you, talk about you, call you a fool, call you a liar, call you a devil. They call all that, they call the Messiah all those names and even worse, my sisters and my brothers. So just kind of do that, all right? When they start talking that, just get together with believers, with the body, with like-minded believers. And I'm one of them. Just get together. Just we stay the course. We keep learning. We keep sharing. We keep fighting. And Yah said He will be with us. That's in the Torah like that. If you obey these things, I'll be with you when you go out. I'll be with you when you come in. And no weapon that's formed against you shall prosper. I'll leave you with that, brothers and sisters. Be encouraged. Love you guys. In the Rahuk. DFG. Talk to you later. Bye now.